Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. The Central Bank of Barbados says while there has been a slight improvement in the performance of the Barbados economy, additional measures to dampen consumer spending through tighter monetary policy will be necessary. The news has come from acting governor of the bank, Cleviston Haynes, who held his first press conference today to review the economy since taking over from dismissed former governor Dr. Delel Worrell. Despite the more stringent measures, the acting governor says growth of more than 1% is projected for the remainder of this year.
Economic growth is projected to range between 1.5% to 2% in 2017, mainly on the strength of tourism and new construction activity. The tourism sector remains competitive, but further enhancements in product quality are needed to sustain growth over the medium term. The scope for fiscal stimulus through a public sector investment program remains limited, and planned private sector investment projects are therefore critical to reversing the slide in capital formation that has contributed to subdued economic activity in recent years. However, there are significant downside risks to the growth forecast, partly related to the ongoing delays to the start of major tourism-related projects earmarked for 2017.
Meanwhile, the acting governor says government continues to focus on fiscal consolidation, which has led to a narrowing of the deficit for the financial year 2016 to 2017.
Improved tax collections resulting from the suite of measures introduced in recent years, together with the containment of non-interest expenditure, enabled the deficit to GDP ratio to fall to its lowest level since fiscal year 2011-2012. Despite these gains, the deficit was estimated to be marginally short of the target of 5.8%, largely due to the delayed execution of planned divestment of state assets.
Mr. Haynes also gave an update on the state of the island's foreign reserves, noting there has been some improvement, but they still remain below the ideal level.
As at March 31st, 2017, the international reserves stood at $705.4 million. Following an increase of $24.3 million in the first quarter. This improvement compares with an average first quarter increase of $19 million over the past 5 years. However, the import reserve cover of 10.7 weeks at the end of March 2017 remained below the 12-week benchmark, in part a reflection of the larger than usual net public sector capital outflows in fiscal year 2016-2017.
There's a new twist in the case that has put a hold on the development of the Hyatt Hotel project. The High Court is now being asked to determine if Attorney-at-Law David Comachong has the right to ask for a judicial review of the process by which permission was granted. Mr. Comachong filed the legal challenge in late March, essentially stalling the multi-million-dollar project. He told CBC News about the latest development this morning after noting the case was scheduled to resume today but was postponed because the judge is on leave.
The minister responsible for town and country planning, who happens to be the Prime Minister of Barbados, is challenging my application for judicial review on the ground that I don't have a financial or legal interest in the matter at issue, that simply as a citizen I do not possess the standing, the locus, what lawyers call the locus standi, to bring such a claim for judicial review of his actions.
Mr. Comachong says he was given a tentative date of July 7th for the case to resume. The attorney-at-law believes his motion for judicial review regarding the Hyatt project is on solid legal ground.
Just yesterday, the Privy Council, the English Privy Council, issued a judgment on a very important Trinidad case where Mr. Reginald Dumas, a well-known Trinidadian public servant, brought a case against the Police Services Commission of Trinidad and Tobago on the basis of the fact that he's a citizen. Had no, as he indicated, he had no personal interest in the matter, no individual interest. And the Privy Council confirmed yesterday, just yesterday, that as a citizen, he did possess that right.
Designated air carriers from Barbados can now operate in Canada. The same privileges are afforded to carriers from the North American country through a new open-air services agreement signed between the two countries. The agreement was inked on behalf of Barbados by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Maxine McLean and Canada's High Commissioner to Barbados, Marie Legault. Senator McLean welcomed the agreement, saying it allows the flexibility to operate without directional or geographical limitations. She's optimistic about increased airlift.
It's envisaged that we can once more see higher numbers of long-stay arrivals visiting our beautiful shores, and of course it's two-way, so it also facilitates our travel to Canada. So the potential for us to access the unserved service central and western regions of Canada is now enhanced, and it also provides for new business and investment opportunities.
High Commissioner Legault sees it as essential. She says it's a tribute to the relationship between Barbados and Canada.
Air connectivity is crucial to growth of any country, for connectivity, for trade and investment. As you know, Canada's geography, the fact that we're such a large country with a very small density in terms of population, and the fact that we are a trading nation makes the fact that it's very important for us to have air connectivity. And of course, for Barbados, being an island, it is also very important for you. So this is just an example of how we continuously work together as partners.
Immigration officers will not be replaced by the installation of automated passport kiosks at the airport. Minister with responsibility for immigration in the Prime Minister's office, Senator Darcy Boyce, says the machines will be introduced by year-end.
14 automated passport control kiosks have been installed in the arrivals hall at the airport and will significantly decrease the waiting times of arriving passengers in the terminal. The immigration counters currently in use will, however, be retained, and passengers will have the option of either interacting with immigration officers at the counters as they are accustomed, or inputting the required customs and immigration information electronically at the kiosk.
According to the senator, other airports have seen up to a 50% decrease in waiting time with the introduction of the system. The relevant legislation is also being reviewed to ensure that all is in order when the system comes into effect. Senator Boyce also pledged to provide immigration officers with a new office. It is expected to be opened in the ground floor of the newly transformed Princess Alice Car Park in the coming months.
I want to assure immigration officers that providing a comfortable working environment for you remains a priority for me. You've known that for a long time. We're almost there. I am therefore pleased to confirm that the work started on your new home at the Princess Alice Corporate Center with funding from the Caribbean Development Bank is at a very advanced stage, and they tell me they expect it to be complete by August of this year.
Of the 535 grass fires recorded so far for 2017, fire officials say the parish of St. Philip has accounted for the majority of those blazes. This was revealed by Officer in the Research and Planning Unit of the Barbados Fire Service, Andrew Taylor, who noted that grass fires are on the rise. Taylor was a guest on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
After we do the tally and say we come to about 800 grass fires, you will find about 300 of those grass fires would have been in St. Philip. Then we go to St. John, St. George, and Christchurch.
Mr. Taylor adds the Barbados Fire Service responded to just over 1,000 fires and over 1,100 incidents for the year,
which is above for last year for the same time period, where we only responded to just under 1,000 fires for the time to date. So far we've had 33 house fires, which is the same as last year. Overall for 2016 we have responded to 80 house fires. 83 in 2015 and 2014 where we recorded the highest amount recently, which would be 100 house fires.
Meanwhile, Fire Prevention Supervisor Wayne Vaughn wants Barbadians to invest in the necessary equipment in fire suppression and prevention systems to protect their homes.
Those words may sound a little, a little large or whatever, but basically all we're asking you to do is to spend a $25 or $30 in a smoke alarm. Smoke alarm will usually warn you, especially if you're asleep, and that there's trouble brewing. And the small fire extinguisher, maybe $65, maybe $120, depending on the size you want and its functionality. But those small items, and once you understand them and the concepts, it can save you, a world of heartbreak.
Mr. Vaughn is also reminding homeowners of the need to be vigilant around their properties.
I know there are some people who go a little extreme. Before they leave home, they turn off everything. The only thing they left in the house working is the refrigerator. They will shut off literally everything. It doesn't have to go to that extreme, but you also should be vigilant. Be extremely vigilant and understand your surroundings, because you may be protecting your home. And I suppose those of us who drive know that any good driver anticipates for the next driver. So you might be doing very well at home, but you've got a neighbor who comes home drunk and fall asleep and so on. So these are things that you might also need to look at.
With the advent of sexual enhancement drugs and other products which are now being favored by older men, Social Care Minister Steve Blackett says this key population is exposing themselves to sexually transmitted infections and HIV and AIDS. He sees the growth of these enhancement products as a real danger.
And recently you would have heard of the increase in the incidence of gonorrhea and syphilis, especially syphilis. So it is a real danger, because these older men, sometimes sugar daddies and people of that ilk, are now involving themselves with younger women, and they're themselves they're now exposed to contracting any one of these sexually transmitted diseases. And it is a target group, what I would call a key population, that I would encourage our HIV/AIDS Commission to take a look.
Mr. Blackett says government is committed to the global goal of zero new HIV transmissions, zero AIDS-related deaths, and zero discrimination.
To achieve this vision, this government has set some goals for 2017 to 2018, and they're ready to reduce new HIV infections, eliminate HIV infections in children, and to reduce HIV-related mortality, and also reduce the stigma and discrimination. We've selected, as I said before, 3 key populations for prevention, treatment and care, and also support services.
Okay, we'll take a short break here and come back with more news.
The fun continues with Liab, the Caribbean Airlines peek into summer, because now you have more time to book. Book any flight from now until May 14th for 25% off all Liab fares for travel from now until November 15th. That's 7 more days, so make sure to book on or before May 14th. Use promo code PWEK for this sweet summer deal of 25% off. Call our reservations department, your local travel agent, or visit liab.com to book. Don't delay, book today.
From June 6 to 12, Barbados, in partnership with the United States Southern Command, will host Exercise Tradewinds, the largest regional multi-agency disaster management exercise held in the Caribbean. It will offer unique training opportunities to assist emergency management responders in improving regional cooperation, military and civilian interaction, and national and regional capabilities.
Tradewinds 2017, a seamless states partnership for a secure region.
A first-form student of the Graydon Sealy School is nursing injuries after he was involved in an accident with a car this afternoon. Reports say that 12-year-old Simeon Williams had just disembarked the school bus and was crossing the road when he was struck by the car. CBC does not yet know the extent of the Simmons Land Rendezvous Christchurch youngsters' injuries. The accident happened along Fords Road around 3:30. A specialist in the care of hypertension, high blood pressure, and other chronic non-communicable diseases says Barbadians have to take greater ownership of their health. Dr. Kenneth Connell, president of the Heart and Stroke Foundation, says this includes acquiring some of the critical equipment needed to keep track of the indicators relating to the CNDCs. He says a blood pressure monitor in every household is ideal.
And in Barbados, data from the Ministry of Health and the CBRC suggests that more than 60% of people have this NCD burden, adult patients have an NCD burden. Those aren't minor numbers. Those aren't numbers that you could kind of say it's not going to happen to me and therefore I'm not going to be aware of it. Those are major numbers. And the other numbers that go to match this are, what's my blood pressure? What was my last HbA1c, which is a test of control of diabetes? What was my last lipid panel? How much sodium am I consuming?
Dr. Connell was speaking to CBC as he launched the May Measurement Month initiative. It's part of an international month-long effort to measure the blood pressure of 25 million people. Dr. Connell says May 17th is Hypertension Day and Barbados will focus on hypertension in diabetes.
The driver for death in diabetes, the driver for death or mortality is not blood sugar control, it's blood pressure control. And so whilst many people out there, and this is a good job, checking your blood sugar at home, we really want you as someone with diabetes, a person with diabetes, to check your blood pressure.
Barbadian manufacturers will get a chance to meet with potential buyers in Florida next month. This as the Barbados Tampa Bay Association hosts its 5th biannual Barbados Comes to Tampa event slated for June 8th to 12th. President of the association, Henderson Griffith, says the event, which is sanctioned by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, will bring together the various Barbadian organizations across Florida.
Okay, we have planned right now a business forum, which will bring together businesses from Barbados along with businesses from around the Tampa Bay area in an endeavor to try to move Barbados products and stuff, especially the local products. A lot of them are looking for distributors and that kind of thing. I'm trying to see if I can put together some distributorships and stuff like that up there.
The event is expected to attract a crowd of over 600, and funds raised will go towards equipment for the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and a donation to cancer support services. There will also be a golf tournament, replica Bridgetown Market, and a gala, which will feature local entertainers like Edwin Yearwood, Red Plastic Bag, Mac Fingal, and the Police Band. Mr. Griffith is hoping that this will be the boost Barbadian products need to enter the relatively untapped Florida markets.
There's certain areas, certain pockets, Brooklyn being one of them, certain areas of Miami, that Barbados products are popular, but we haven't done a good job of marketing the Barbados products, and that's one of the problems. And plus, when you're selling into the United States market, you got to understand the labeling process with the Food and Drug Administration. So they need some person over there who understand all of this, who can probably work in collaboration with them. Maybe it's some kind of a joint venture.
It's still a few days before the big day, but mothers from the St. James South constituency are already being recognized, and they were treated to lunch by their parliamentary representative, Donville Innes. Sharika Griffith was there and filed this report.
Member of Parliament for St. James South Commerce Minister Donville Innes regards mothers as the bedrock of society. In his capacity as a politician, he sees firsthand the struggle some mothers endure to provide for their children. And that's why he believes they should be honored.
The mothers have really been the ones who've been keeping our society together. They have been the best managers of finances in the household. They're the greatest supporters emotionally, and we men sometimes can only sit back and wonder how they do it. So I really want to salute all of the mothers in St. James South. And when I say mothers, not just those who are biologically mothers, but those who recognize that paternal instinct.
Minister Innes opened his home to the women of his constituency and their loved ones to spend the afternoon with his family. There was something for everyone as the little ones played on the swings, while the adults enjoyed the sweet sounds of steel pan and saxophone music. Minister Innes also announced plans to launch a program targeting the youth in his constituency.
They want to have meaningful jobs, they want to have a chance to grow their own businesses, and that's why in my constituency we're about to roll out a project to target young people in particular. And I've always said I must do this not in a very partisan manner, because at the end of the day, the challenges that are there are not limited to DLP or BLP supporters. There are real challenges that families face this in JSF. I have a duty as a parliamentary representative to bring meaningful and sustainable solutions and not just a long talk.
Despite occasional showers, the event was well attended. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
A youth volunteer program providing interaction between young people and the elderly is gaining traction. The elderly, according to Senior Welfare Officer with the National Assistance Board, Colleen Walcott, include those who at times may be out of touch with the community and do take part in social activities. She says the program is among a wide range of social care initiatives provided for the elderly by government. Ms. Walcott was a guest on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados as the topic Care of the Elderly was discussed.
A relatively young program which is growing, where you put that volunteer into the home to provide stimulating activities. Is also providing some support for family members. So there's also the relatively new service since September 2015, which is our Jarvis-Dana Elderly Daycare services. So we're trying to be responsive to the needs of elderly persons. So where the caregiver may not want to leave that person in the house for the whole day unattended, then you're taken into daycare, which is located just over in the Pine.
Administrator with the St. Philip Family Care Facility, Annette Francis, is telling Barbados that there are several benefits to being in a care facility for the elderly.
Well, some of the benefits are, while they're in the care facility, there's always some kind of interaction for them, because most of them face loneliness and helplessness when they're at home. Because then at home there's no one there to actually interact with them. Whereas in the nursing home, they have their own, I would say, their own cliques so that they can interact with them.
After the break, we'll take a look at stories making headlines across our region.
Next case, the People versus Martin White. Mr. White has been charged with guilty. Next case.
But Your Honor, you haven't heard the charges yet.
Guilty. Next case. Guilty. 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 Life in prison. Guilty. Next case.
Entertaining.
Nothing can stop it. Together we are breaking. Nothing can stop it. I only know the way.
Educating.
A real man and a real woman having sex, and she's saying, Mom, you should see the man moving.
You have individuals coming from Christian homes who will not want some of their children.
14 and 15 and 16-year-olds need to be equipped with knowledge and skills.
Informing.
I'm pretty great. We have a hotline number 4672725. If you encounter anything on highway. Charlene is online. Charlene, good morning.
Good morning.
We are CBC TV8.
How did the economy perform in the first quarter of 2017? What are the economic challenges that we need to address? How do we tackle them? What are the prospects for the rest of the year? Find out in a media statement by Acting Governor of the Central Bank of Barbados, Cleviston Haynes, on this station, Tuesday, May 9th, 2017 at 8:30 p.m., repeated Wednesday, May 10th at 6:35 p.m.
Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Perry Christie, has sought to assure international election observers that tomorrow's general election will be peaceful. Christie made the comments as he welcomed the international election observer teams to the country. The election observer missions are from the Commonwealth, CARICOM, the Organization of American States, and the United States. The Prime Minister noted that if there is a transition, even if it's just his formation of a new government, the country expects its democracy to respond positively and strongly, as it has always done. The Ghana government has announced plans to scale back on sugar production with the closure of some factories. The announcement was made by Agriculture Minister Noel Holder as he presented a state paper on the future of the sugar industry in Parliament. He disclosed that the government will retain only 3 factories and take over health and drainage and irrigation services offered by the Ghana Sugar Corporation. According to Holder, the government has also started the process of soliciting expressions of interest for the divestment of the state-of-the-art Skeldon sugar factory. He says the monies from the Skeldon will help to bail out the cash-strapped and debt-burdened state-owned corporation. The National Solid Waste Management Authority in Jamaica has received 3 new garbage trucks valued at over $60 million. The Waste Management Agency is expected to get a total of 28 new trucks. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie said the acquisition of the trucks is part of efforts to improve the service delivery of the NSWMA. The region's first online database that will enable a standard system for capturing and reporting human rights violations has been launched. Developed by the Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Coalition, CBC, the Shared Incident Database is an advanced, user-friendly, web-based technology that will strengthen evidence-based advocacy for more just policies and programs in the Caribbean's HIV response. The database provides an integrated platform to record, analyze, and exchange information to impact policy and programs, and will further empower individuals and civil society organizations to pursue redress, including legal remedies where these are available. Last month, additional groups, including Jamaicans for Justice, Eve for Life, and Transwave, were trained. And in the wider Caribbean, training has been done with groups in Belize, Guyana, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, with Suriname and Trinidad to follow shortly. Jamaican company Grace Kennedy Limited has announced it has now divested its 30% stake in the Barbados-based Trident Insurance Company Limited. Grace Kennedy says the transaction was completed when Leo Leacock and Company Limited and Asjam Holdings Limited purchased the shares. The two are existing shareholders in Trident. Grace Kennedy says it is expecting that it will record a gain on the sale. Group CEO Don Webby says the divestment is in keeping with Grace Kennedy's expansion strategy. A peek into the world of sports is just ahead, but before we get there, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.